Okay, so if you want to understand how to analyze data, well, this is a very important question for you. And this is going to be particularly important for those of you that study algebra or statistics. And let me go ahead and read the question. And it is the following. Can you find the best fitting line given these coordinates right here? And these are all XY ordered pairs or coordinates. So we have the point 1, -5, 0, -3, 3, -1, and 6, 5. So we have 4 points that we can plot on an XY axis like so. And you're going to see some sort of trend, some sort of pattern. And the idea here is to find the best fitting line. And when we're talking about line, we're talking about a linear equation y equals mx plus b. Now, this type of problem is often referred to as a scatter plot. Okay, so that's the question. Feel free to use a calculator, but if you can figure this out, go ahead and put your answer into the comment section. I'll share the correct answer in just 1 second. Then, of course, I'm going to fully explain how to do this problem. And if you've never seen a scatter plot problem before, well, stick with me for a couple minutes. You'll totally be able to understand this. But before we get started, let me quickly introduce myself. My name is John, and I have been teaching middle and high school math for decades. And it really is my true passion to try to make learning math as easy as possible. So if you need assistance in mathematics, check out my math help program at tcmathacademy.com. You can find a link to that in the description below. And if this video helps you out, or if you just enjoy this content, make sure to like and subscribe, as this definitely helps me out. All right, so there is a lot to cover in this problem. So again, what we're going to do is we're going to plot these points here on an XY axis. So if you have a piece of graph paper handy, that'd be nice. You can certainly, kind of see and visualize the problem. We need to actually do that as part of the solution. So we're going to want to find the best fitting linear equation, best fitting line that describes or kind of represents the pattern. And let's go ahead and take a look at the answer. The answer is y equals 2x minus 7. All right, so if you got this right, that is fantastic. Matter of fact, let's go ahead and celebrate by giving you a nice little happy face, an A plus a 100%, and multiple stars. So you can brag to your friends and family that indeed you are a certified professional expert in the area of finding linear equations and linear models given some raw data using positive correlation and a scatter plot type of situation. Now, the only reason you're going to tell your friends and family that they're not going to understand, but it just sounds so impressive and so cool. But anyways, all jokes aside, this particular problem is actually a pretty easy scatter plot problem. Okay, so but if you got this right, that is fantastic. But this will be a great little starter problem for those of you that are a little bit lost. And there is a lot of skills to kind of cover in this problem. And we're going to be using a lot of algebra. Now, in algebra, before I get into the solution, I just want to talk about a couple quick things here. One of the key skills that you need to learn and master in algebra is how to graph lines, okay? How to graph a line. So let me go and erase our little happy face here because I'm going to be doing a lot in this problem. I'm going to be explaining a lot, but some of you may not have, yet studied this information, or maybe you've been away from math for a long time, but we need to be able to graph a line. So if I give you a line like y equals 2x minus 3, you need to be able to go to an xy, order axis, maybe like on a piece of graph paper and actually graph that line. So that's a huge skill in algebra. But there's another skill, okay, another huge topic, and that is to find the equation of a line. So let's suppose I have some sort of line and I have 2 points that are on this line. We want to actually find the y equals mx plus b linear equation that represents a line that passes through these 2 points. That's another huge skill. And these right here, are absolute must know for those of you that want to really understand algebra. And this particular problem, we're going to be using a lot of these skills. So I'm going to give you some suggestions and recommendations if you get a little bit lost on any of this algebra, throughout the course of this explanation. But let's go ahead and get into the problem. And the first thing we want to do is kind of look at the process to figure this out. So what we're going to do is we're going to use our XY points here. Of course, these are points that we can plot. And this is basically the kind of steps to figure this out. So first of all, we're going to plot the points. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to try to identify the best fitting line. And we're going to do that by selecting 2 points. So in other words, if I have a point here, here, and here, we're going to pick 2 points that best represents that trend. Now, this could be subjective somewhat, but in this particular problem, it's going to be very obvious. But once we pick 2 points such that we can draw a line through those 2 points that represents the best trend, given those 2 points that we identify, we are then going to use those 2 points to find the linear equation in y equals mx plus b form. And this is called slope-intercept form. Okay, so that is going to be the process to solve this or find the answer to this problem. Now, if you've never done this before, but you think you have the skills to do this, maybe you want to pause the video and actually plot this out. The points will be pretty obvious in terms of which ones to pick. So let's go ahead and take a look at this situation visually, because that is going to be our first step. Okay, so what we have here is a bunch of points that are kind of scattered. We plotted a bunch of points on the XY plane and are kind of scattered about, hence the term scatter plot. Now, what we want to do is try to look at what is the kind of overall trend of this plot. Okay, so we scattered a bunch of points here on the XY plane, but if we kind of notice here, the overall trend is kind of going in this direction. So what we want to do is find a line, okay, one specific linear equation that models this pattern. Now, why would we want to do that? Well, in statistics, if you have some sort of pattern going on, and we can come up with kind of a mathematical equation that models that, well, this gives us the opportunity to kind of predict out future, results. We kind of make some guesstimates on what's going on, and that's the whole idea behind statistics, right? We look at raw information and we, try to identify trends and patterns so we can make, predictions about the future, and that is the whole idea here. Okay. Now, this was what we call a linear regression. This is what we call a linear regression type of problem in statistics, but it's effectively the same type of problem that you would do in basic algebra, called a scatter plot or best fitting line type of problem. But let's talk about a fancy word here called correlation. And this pattern here has what we call positive correlation. Now, when you graph lines, okay, on the XY plane, a line, the steepness or the angle of that line is called the slope. So lines that run or increase from left to right have a positive slope. Lines that decrease from left to right have a negative slope. Lines that are totally horizontal have a zero slope. Okay, and lines that are vertical have what type of slope? Well, if you know the answer, put that into the comment section. But lines that are vertical have an undefined slope. There is no slope. Now, again, there is a lot of explanation to all these little things that I'm talking about. So if you don't have the algebra skills, again, I will give you some specific suggestions on how you can learn all this stuff. But hopefully, you are with me right now. Okay, now here, because our points are kind of going in this direction, actually it's pretty clear that they're going this way. It pretty much models a line with a positive slope. But instead of slope, we would just call these points, we would call this plot having a positive correlation. So you can have a positive correlation, negative correlation, zero correlation, just like no correlation at all. You could just have points all over the place. Okay, so just terminology that those of you out there that are taking statistics or algebra, should be familiar with. Okay, so let's go ahead and take the next step, which of course is to find 2 points that we think best model this situation. Now, here, I'm going to select these 2 points, but let me go back over here before I show you the actual answer, just in case this wasn't so clear. Now, we could see that the overall trend is this way. Well, hopefully you saw that. But let's just pick 2 points. If I said just pick 2 points here and draw a line to any 2 points that best represents this trend. Now we know that the trend is this way, right? This is, clearly, the majority of the points are going this direction. So we wouldn't pick these 2 points, because if we draw a line through those 2 points, that line is totally not representative of this trend, okay? But we could maybe say, well, let's pick this point. We'll keep this point and then we'll use this point, okay? Well, that's better, okay, but we can improve upon that. And what we could do is use this. Matter of fact, if we use this point and this point, it's definitely even, far better. But we can even pick the some points that best represent this, and that's why it's important that you understand this is a best fitting line. So you want to get this as accurate as possible. And so I'm going to pick these 2 points right here. So a line that goes to this, these 2 points right here, best represents this because it's going to pick up that third point. Now, in this particular problem, these 3 points are on the actual on the same line. So we could use this point and this point. We need 2 points, right, to construct a line. So if I say graph a line, well, we need at least 2 points that are on that line. So we can either use these 2 points, or we could use these 2 points, or these 2 points, or this point and this point. Doesn't make a difference. We just don't want to use this point here. Now, this point seems to be, off the majority of what's going on, right? Well, in statistics, we would refer to that like one point that is definitely not part of the trend. So if I have a bunch of points going like this, and I have one point way out here, this point is referred to as an outlier. Okay. All right. So hopefully this makes sense. And so what I'm going to do is use these 2 points right here, 6, 5, and 3, -1, to find the equation of this line, the y equals mx plus b, linear equation of this line right here. So really this question now is going, by the way, too, let me just state, if you're like, yes, Mr. YouTube Math Man, this is how I did the problem, but I used this point and this point. Well, you could use any combination of these 3 points, okay, any two of these three, and you would have gotten the same answer because these 3 points are actually on the same line. But in most statistics or most scatterplot problems, this one's a very, very easy thing. It's not going to be so clear. The plots are going to be kind of like all over the place like this. So you're going to have to use your best judgment, and answers can vary, but they should be pretty close to one another. But in this particular case, I made this so obvious because, I'm kind of assuming a lot of you been away from this for a long time, or maybe are just learning this for the first time. Okay, so again, I'm going to use these 2 points, and now this question really becomes this question. We want to find the y equals mx plus b, the linear equation for a line that passes through these 2 points. Okay, so how do we do that? Well, what we need to do is we need to find the slope. So anytime you want to find the equation of a line, so here is some sort of line, you need two pieces of information at a minimum. We need one point that is on the line, and we need the slope of the line. Now, in this particular case, we have 2 points that are on this line, but you're like, well, we don't have the slope. Well, no problem, because these 2 points right here, we can use to calculate the slope. So that's our first thing that we need to do. We need to find the slope between these 2 points, the line that goes through these 2 points, and then once we have the slope, we can use that slope and either one of these points to find this equation of this line. Okay, so keep sticking with me because a lot of you out there may be rusty on your algebra, but hopefully this little quick review on the slope and how to do this problem will help. Okay, so what is the slope of the line? Well, the slope of a line is effectively some sort of number, typically a fraction that describes the steepness or angle of a line. But it's defined, and it's oftentimes we have this little small lowercase m as the variable that represents the slope, but it's defined as the rise over the run of a line. So as a line goes, let's say in this direction, it's running out this way, and at the same time it's rising up. So this ratio between the rise and the run of the line is by definition the slope. Now here is some fancy notation here on how we can define the slope. So the rise is going to be the differences of the y's. So this is kind of fancy notation. This is called delta. Delta y just means the differences of the y coordinates, okay, over delta x. Delta y over delta x. This again is fancy notation. Typically you'll see this stuff like in calculus, but don't let this, fancy little triangle, intimidate you. But it is a pretty common symbol in math and science. So it's just called delta, delta y over delta x. Differences of the y's or the difference of the x, by definition, is the rise over the run. But if you are taking algebra, okay, you're probably more familiar with this equation for the slope of a line. So the rise, okay, is going to be our delta y or the differences of the y's. So let's say I have 2 points here. I have an XY point and another XY point. So these are just 2 points that we can graph on a line. So my Y's, this coordinate will have this Y, okay, as its Y coordinate, Y1, and this point will have Y2, and then as its Y coordinate, and then our respective X coordinates will be X1 and X2. So what we need to do is just simply follow this equation right here, or formula. So Y2 minus Y1 is going to be the differences of the Y's over the differences of the X, X2 minus X1. Okay, so again, super, important that those of you that are studying algebra understand how to find the slope. And a ton of students make so many errors when they calculate the slope. Let's see if you actually make that error. So here is our points 6, 5, and 3, -1. I gave you the formula. Just go ahead and follow that formula, and let's see if you can find this correct slope. Okay, so the correct slope here is going to be 2. Okay, now here's the work on how you uh, calculate this. Let's go through this real quick, and then I'm going to show you one of the most common errors that algebra students make. Okay, so we're going to subtract the y's and we're going to subtract the x's. So where are the y's? Well, these are the y's right here, 5 and -1. Remember, we're talking about x, y, order pairs, coordinates, right? And our x's are 6 and 3. So we're going to subtract the y's. So in this case, we're going to subtract 5 minus a -1. We've got to be very careful here, very careful. 5 minus -1. So 5 minus a -1, this is going to be the same thing as 5 plus 1, which is positive 6. And then when we subtract the x's, it's going to be 6 minus 3, which will be positive 3. So 6 divided by 3, of course, these are all positive, is 2. So our slope is 2. And that is correct. So somebody might be saying, well, Mr. YouTube Math Man, this is pretty straightforward. No one can mess this up. Well, yes, they can. I'm going to show you right now a very, very common error. Okay, so let's just kind of keep this part of the problem right. So let's say, all right, I'm going to go ahead and follow the formula. I'm going to subtract the y's. So 5 minus -1, no big deal. And then I'm going to subtract the x's, okay, and these are the x's right here, 6 and 3. But I'm going to go this way, 3 minus 6. So 3 minus 6 is what? Well, that's -3. So if I do this, 6 divided by -3, I'm going to end up with -2. That is wrong. The slope is positive 2. So why is this wrong? Again, a super common mistake for algebra students, and here is how you avoid it. All right, now here, if you decide to start subtracting the y's, if you decide to start with this point's information, okay, that's what we did right here, 5 minus -1, well, you have to start with this point's information in the bottom for our x's, okay, so this has to be a 6. And this, again, is one of these things that a lot of algebra students, they think they understand the slope better than they actually do. And how do I know this? Well, for decades and decades and decades, I know how many uh, homework, quizzes, exams, well, maybe not that many, but you get the idea. I've seen this mistake countless times. I'm pretty sure I was making this mistake myself way back in the good old 1980s when I was taking basic algebra. So how do you avoid making this error when it comes to the slope? Okay, well, let me give you a suggestion. So when you have two coordinates, just underline one coordinate, okay, that you want to use. You could use this point first or this point, doesn't make a difference. But here, underline one coordinate, and then just make sure that you're using that point's information first. Okay, so again, this problem has a plethora of little algebra tips and such, but the bottom line is that the slope between these 2 points, okay, a line that runs through these 2 points, the slope is 2. And we need the slope at either one of these points. We can use this point or this point, doesn't make a difference, but we just need the slope. Now we have enough information to find the linear equation. And of course, I'm going to get into that right now. But first, I'm going to get into this, okay, which is I need your support for this YouTube channel. Okay, although I have a lot of subscribers, I'm very proud of that. I have like 515,000 subscribers as the date I post this particular video, and that is amazing to me. But I think that's reflective of all the effort that I put into my channel, which is like 10 plus years, well over 2,000 plus videos from basic math to advanced math and everything in between. But I do this because it is a labor of love. I am very passionate about helping students understand mathematics. That's why I really get into the details and I truly try to teach things in a very comprehensive manner because that is the only way you're going to learn. Okay, anything less than that is just going to be a quick tutorial. I could go through the same information in like 2 minutes. But yeah, if I do that, a lot of you that really need to understand this are going to be like, I still don't get it. Well, I try to deliver high quality content, but I need your support to, support my efforts on this channel. And the best way to do that is just hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you get my latest videos. I just find it so cool when people subscribe. I actually think of that as like I gained a new student. Now, I want to tell those of you out there that are not familiar with my newest course, okay? It's called Math Skills Rebuilder. This has been a course I should have built many years ago, but I've had this request for a long time for those of you that kind of want to relearn math, okay? A lot of you remember doing this stuff, but it's been 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years plus, and you're like, boy, I was so good in math, and I'm sure you were, and you learned a lot of advanced math, maybe calculus and differential equations, or whatever the case is, and you just kind of want to brush off your cobwebs and get back into math and just get your skills back. Well, this course would be a great course for you. Now, those of you out there that were not good in math back in school, that may not sit well with you. You might be like, you know what, I could have learned this stuff. I understand what this Mr. YouTube Math Man is talking about. Why didn't I do better in math when I was in school? Well, probably a lot of reasons. One, maybe you didn't have the greatest teacher. Maybe the environment you were in wasn't the greatest. Probably, too, you weren't motivated. You were young and distracted like myself, you know. So there's all different sorts of reasons. And maybe you want to prove it to yourself that you can, in fact, learn math. And I'm telling you right now, you absolutely can. And this is the course for you. So in my Math Skills Rebuilder course, it's a self-paced course. I teach you first a ton of arithmetic, basic math. You got to get those foundations down, fractions, percent, place value. So we go through some arithmetic, and then I teach you a ton of algebra to include everything that we're talking about here, a ton of geometry, even some basic trigonometry, and some basic probability and statistics. By the time you finish this course, you will have an outstanding well-rounded education in high school level mathematics, which you can build upon if you want to get into even more in math, more advanced math courses. Okay, so if you're looking at this course and you're like, or looking at this video and you are struggling with some of the topics, or you're like, boy, I forgot this stuff, I need some practice, or you're just interested in relearning math, this is the course for you. Okay, now one other last comment. If some of you are actually taking like an Algebra 1, Algebra 2 course, I'll leave links to my specific those specific courses in the description as well, because this is like an overview course, so you may want to get into deeply into those particular subjects. But anyways, let's get back to this problem, and now we have to take this to the next step and figure out the equation of this line. Now we have the slope of 2 and these 2 points. Now we have to find the linear equation, i.e. the equation of a line that runs through these 2 points and has a slope of 2. Now, what we can do here is we can use this slope. We first need to use a slope, and we can use this point, or we can use this point. Okay, it doesn't make a difference whether you say, all right, I'm going to use a slope of 2, and this point right here, 3, -1, you'll get the same answer versus the slope of 2 and 6, 5 does, again, what point you select doesn't make a difference. Always try to pick the easier numbers to work with. In other words, if one of these coordinates had fractions, don't pick that point. All right, now the next thing we need to do is pick some formulas here, okay? Now these are, again, critical for those of you that need to understand algebra. So this formula here is called the slope-intercept formula, y equals mx plus b. I could use this formula to find the actual equation of the line, or I could use this formula, and this formula is called the point-slope formula. Okay, now I particularly am a big fan of the point slope formula, especially for this type of problem. So this is the formula that I'm going to use to find the equation of this line. So let's go ahead and see how this works. All right, so here is our problem. We have slope of 2. I'm going to use this 0.65 to figure out this line, okay, or the equation of this line. And what we need to do is we need to replace these components of this formula. Okay, so we have y minus y1. We're going to replace this y1 with the information that we have, and we have the slope information and this x1 right here. So these are the points. These are the parts of the formula that we're going to plug in numbers for, and then we're going to simplify. All right, so we have the slope of 2, and we have a coordinate 6, 5. So we're going to plug in our slope right here, 2, and we're going to plug in for our y, this 5, and we're going to plug in for our x, this 6, and we're going to plug them in these respective um, spots in this formula, and then we're going to simplify. So let's go ahead and take a look at that right now. Okay, so here it's our slope 2 and our 0.65. Again, we're going to replace the y1, m, and x1 with the respective information. So we have y minus 5 is equal to 2 times x minus 6. Okay, so now all we need to do is simplify this and get it into y equals mx plus b form. And what we're going to do first, once we have everything plugged in, is do the distributive property on this side. So 2 times x is 2x, and 2 times 6 is 12. So we have 2x minus 12. So we have y minus 5 is equal to 2x minus 12. Okay, so we're just going to solve for y. So this is pretty easy. All we're going to do is add 5 to both sides of the equation. And voila, we have our equation in y equals mx plus b, or slope-intercept form, and that is y equals 2x minus 7. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, let's just kind of circle back to our little graph right here, that the best fitting line, okay, for this plot, okay, of all these scattered points, the best fitting line was this line right here. Well, this was the correlation, right? Positive correlation. Any of these points here would work, but the best fitting line is this line right here, y equals 2x minus 7. And again, this is related to problems that you would do in statistics called linear regression. Now, for those of you that work with data, like in Microsoft Excel, and you do all kinds of charts, whatnot, if you look at the type of charts that you can do, you can just get raw data. You can construct a linear regression model, which is effectively doing this, and the graph or Excel, the software will tell you the actual equation. Okay, now this would be some sort of linear model. And this is like real world data analysis, okay? And for those of you that are like algebra students, this would be considered a scatter plot or a best fitting line type of problem. And this is actually quite an easy problem because, of course, we can have much more sophisticated or complicated plots. All right, but there are a lot of skills here that you need to know, okay? And again, if you're overwhelmed, you're like, oh my goodness, this is why I don't like math. It's just too much to know. Well, listen, it's too much to know if you try to learn it like 1, 2, 3, okay? What you want to do is learn math in skill sets, okay? Build up your skills. And I'm going to tell you right now, there are no shortcuts, okay? But you are smart enough to learn this stuff, so never use that as an excuse that, "Oh, I'm just not good at math. I just can't learn this stuff." Yes, you can. What you need is commitment, okay? But you really need access to comprehensive, clear, and understandable instruction. And that's what I try to provide with my little YouTube videos. But if this video helped you out, don't forget to like and subscribe. And with that being said, I definitely wish you all the best in your mathematics adventures. Thank you for your time and have a great day.